Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Power Up by PNM podcast hour in partnership with the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, featuring some of our community's favorite leaders and small business owners. So plug in your favorite device, grab a sack lunch and your favorite beverage, and join us every Tuesday at noon to meet the movers and shakers in our community that are not letting anything hold them back. We are here to inspire you to continue to grow and scale your small business venture. Don't forget to call us at 505-842-9003 for all of your PPE supply needs. And for this podcast and any and all other information about the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, visit us at www.ahcnm.org/chamber chat. We'll give you another minute if you are joining us live.
Hey, welcome everybody to the PNM podcast hour here at the Chamber of Commerce. We're so excited that you are joining us live. Today we have a really great guest in our studios, Mr. Brian Charlton with Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Mexico. We can't wait to get into his story and see how he can impact your business by giving his wisdom and his knowledge and his experience. But before we get into that, to our podcast today, I have a couple of key announcements here. So we are hosting a Going Green Cannabis in New Mexico webinar. It's happening on Facebook Live on Wednesday, June 30th from 12 to 1. So if you're interested in the cannabis market and how to get involved and learn about all the new updates in New Mexico, make sure you log on so you don't want to miss that opportunity. Also, if you're out there and you want to meet new people, we have the next Biz Gratis networking event happening Wednesday, June 30th, which is tomorrow from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. We'll bring you live music, dancing, an array of bourbon, beer, and spirits at some of the best handcrafted cocktails in the Southwest. You're not going to miss that. Also, we have the Get Crafty with Your Business, which we're focusing on travel and tourism, Thursday, July the 8th from 5:30 to 7:30. You'll hear stories from local business owners to learn about the best practices on how to grow your business and how to use travel and tourism to enhance your business. So you definitely want to get involved in that great event. And don't forget about the Staycation ABQ walking tour of Nob Hills Murals. That's going to happen on Saturday, July the 10th. From 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Also, if you're in need of PPE, we are your PPE supplier right here in Albuquerque. There's a couple of things that you need to do to qualify for your PPE. Number one, you must be a business here in the Bernalillo County and Albuquerque city limits, have less than 50 employees, and you must register with the chamber. So you want to make sure that you let the chamber know. We have that every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., so make sure you reach out. Next week's podcast, we're going to have a really great guy by the man named Mike Kivitz. Mike is a wonderful human being. He's a retired CEO with Adelante Business Development Center. You're not going You're not going to miss that one. So you look forward to joining us next week with Mike. And if you're always in need of looking at what's happening here at the Chamber, just go to our website. We have so many wonderful events for you, so you're not going to miss out. So today we have a special guest, and Brian with Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Mexico. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Good afternoon, JP. Happy to be here on your. We got applause. I appreciate
yeah, we
that.
do.
Thanks for the big crowd here. On your notes, you mentioned we'd have wisdom here. Nobody warned me about bringing wisdom, so it might be a short podcast. We'll see.
Might be a short, man. We're so glad that you're here.
Happy to be here,
man. We're glad, but before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to our engineer in the studio, Mr. Paco. Oh, Paco, yeah, Paco's right there. That's the biggest applause of the day. So I just want to give a shout out to Paco on all the work that he's doing. But man, Blue Cross Blue Shield, you represent one of the largest insurance companies here in New Mexico.
You're right. That's right. Hopefully, and continue to be so. We do our best to provide coverage for our members across the state, whether it's folks who are part of a group that's insured by Blue Cross or a larger group that might be self-insured and we administer it. We also have a lot of individual members, members on the exchange. We have a partnership here at the Chamber Board with Be Well New Mexico, right. And so we sell individual business and family business there as well. We have Medicaid availability, Medicare, Medicare Advantage, Medicare Sup. So hopefully if there's a need for you out there for coverage, and it is important for folks to be covered, and it helps, I think, economic growth, period, for us to have that healthcare stability. whatever we can do to help, please go to bcbsnm.com.
Yeah, no doubt. So health insurance is a big part of our community. Everybody's looking for it. Everybody needs it. So what exactly do you do for Blue Cross Blue Shield New Mexico?
So JP, I'm in the legal department. I've been with Blue Cross for 18 of the past 20 years. So everything legal. Right now I'm the vice president and general counsel for the legal department here at the New Mexico division.
Man, that's great, man. We're so proud of you, man. And we're so excited that you're part of this chamber because Blue Cross Blue Shield does so much work in our statewide. What do you cover from all the way from the north to the south, the entire state?
We cover the entire state. So we compete in all areas of the state. We like to think that one of our selling points is we have a broad enough network of providers. Our providers are our partners, of course, and so whether you're in JAL or Cimarron, wherever you happen to be, hopefully there's a network of providers tied to Blue Cross available for you.
Man, that's great. I remember early on in my insurance career, I'm in the insurance business myself. I sold a lot of Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Good.
Yeah, it's a great product. Matter of fact, I still get $56 in renewals from Blue Cross Blue Shield today every month.
We'll have to look into that.
It's been a long time since I sold insurance in terms of health insurance, but yeah, I love Blue Cross Blue Shield. It was Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas, but it's same parent company.
Right.
Yeah, no, man, that's great, man. So when you think about the community in general in facing healthcare issues, what are some of the big things that you're seeing that our community is facing in the area of healthcare?
Well, first of all, like I said, and like you mentioned, just getting coverage for everybody.
Right.
And with the Affordable Care Act, I think we ended up with a greater percentage of the population covered. It's been around for 8 years now. A lot of expansion with Medicaid itself, and that grew a lot for us and other managed care organizations here in New Mexico. The other thing that we all need to keep in mind is the cost of healthcare itself.
Yeah.
So we try to help manage that as best we can. We work, like I said earlier, with our providers. We partner with them, but everything is going up, and folks need immediate care, immediate attention, and want things resolved quickly. So that might mean a drug therapy that is very, very expensive, or whatever it is that folks are facing these days. The advances of science and technology cost money, and so what we try to do is help work with our provider network to try to keep those costs down, because at the end of the day, those costs end up being borne out by our insureds.
Right. So when you think about the future of healthcare, do you see healthcare changing in the future?
Yeah. It changes every couple of years, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does.
Just
with the pandemic, a lot of new approaches by our regulators, both at the federal and state level. We're always having to react to whatever it may be that's going on at the either the national scene or here at the state level. So, who knows what the future holds, but there are a lot of options and ideas out there of what it could look like in 5 or 10 years.
I remember when I was selling insurance, especially health insurance, we began to look at, basic co-pays and deductibles and whatnot. Right. But today, the healthcare landscape has changed, especially around the area of mental health.
Right.
I would imagine mental health is a big part of the work that you guys are doing to cover that.
Right. A lot of behavioral health focus, not just by us, but other carriers and providers as well. And it came to light during the pandemic, more so, where we offered a lot more opportunity to get care. We didn't offer it, but we covered services provided by way of telephone or audio video equipment, so folks could still connect with their behavioral health providers, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's just another twist and turn that happened during the last year and a half. Telehealth has generally been around for some time, but folks, it wasn't a focus for folks until the pandemic.
I remember during the COVID experience, I had to see my own physician. That was the very first time I did a physical over the phone. It was quite an experience.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I think that's where people are getting more comfortable with telehealth care, if you would. I got sick during COVID myself, and it was really fascinating how the doctors who work they're actually pretty amazing. So it's a really great avenue for people to receive health care.
Yeah, I haven't experienced the telehealth approach yet, but I wouldn't hesitate to do it if need be.
Right.
We have absolutely wonderful partners as providers throughout the state, throughout our communities, who we hope are providing the care that our members need, and they do.
Yeah, and they really do. What's interesting is I'm always trying to figure out how to manage my own healthcare expenses. Perhaps, do Do you see a lot more incentive type plans out there in the market today where people are being rewarded for going to see their doctor on a regular basis for preventative health care?
Right. So under the Affordable Care Act, a good part of preventative health is at no cost to the insured. So that's one good thing. Getting folks to their doctors for their annual physical, trying to remove obstacles so folks can at least get initial care and find out where they may need to go next. And also trying to focus more on that cost share for the member as well.
Sure.
So at Blue Cross, it's not my area, but what I understand and see is us coming up with creative solutions to try to keep that out-of-pocket cost lower for our insureds. And our competitors do the same. We're all in the same boat. We're trying to, like I said, remove as many obstacles as possible so people can get care.
That's so good because, mi gente, my people, right? We typically don't like to go to the doctor. And when you begin to look at certain health conditions that a lot of our Latinos face is diabetes, cholesterol, heart disease, things of that nature. So, for those people who haven't got your health checkup, make sure you get a policy with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Or anybody.
Anybody.
Just get care. Whatever it is, just be sure you're getting the healthcare attention you need, and match up with a insurance provider or carrier or wherever it is, whether it be Medicaid or a private carrier, so that you can access that care and it doesn't hit you in the pocketbook as much.
Oh, absolutely, man. I agree with that 100%. So let me ask you this: how did you get started in your profession?
Wow. So I've been a lawyer for 30 years now, JP. 20 of it doing the work with Blue Cross. And when I became a lawyer 30 years ago, and if I had met a lawyer who had been practicing for 30 years, I would have thought, oh my gosh, that person, I'm surprised they're still practicing. I'm surprised they're still around. And so it's a different perspective now. Just falling into the law almost. I was talking to Paco earlier. One of the things I was really interested in as a young person was radio. And my major was broadcast journalism. And my grandfather in Socorro was the first principal at the Socorro Junior High, Dennis Baca. By the way, there should be a school down there named after him, but that's a subject of another podcast. But anyway, he would host on occasion, he would host the Spanish radio show on KSRC, the Mighty 1290 in Socorro.
Yeah.
So I got to run the board in Socorro, the radio board, read the commercials for Tasty Freeze, you name it. So from there, I went on to become I went to school in Las Lunas, a DJ in Belen, broadcast journalism at New Mexico State University, and I thought that was going to be it for me. And then towards the end, I thought, well, I want to keep learning. I want to do something. So went to law school just out of nowhere almost. Ended up in San Francisco for law school, and worked for law firms here in Albuquerque for about 10 years before starting at Blue Cross.
Wow. So were you born and raised right here in New Mexico?
Born in Alamogordo and raised in Bosque Farms. Right?
Come on now. So you're a hometown hero.
Some applause for Bosque Farms. Like to hear it.
Man, that's great. So broadcast and journalism, that's a huge difference going from like broadcast and journalism to law.
It was. I thought at the time it would maybe open doors for communications law. You don't know, and I didn't have any lawyers in my family, but I just thought it was something it couldn't hurt to go to law school.
Well,
it hasn't yet.
And it hasn't hurt yet.
At some point it might, but it hasn't yet.
Well, here's the good news about the podcast. Now we have another interviewer here who has some radio experience, right? Not that I have any, I enjoy this, but that is so great. So when you think about in terms of your profession and where, what's happening in the world of healthcare, I would imagine this is a really great opportunity for people who may be listening to say they want to maybe venture out in a career in this type of work.
It seems like the field of health care in general is always growing. There's always a need, whether it be for nurses, physicians, technicians. It seems like that's always a need. I know we're always trying to hire nurses and physicians and competing with actual providers and practice groups for those folks. Plus, there's so much going on from a regulatory and legal perspective. There's always a need for analysts and lawyers. Always opportunities in sales. We have, you name it. We touch so many different types of work, finance. There's just a lot of opportunity, and it's interesting. It's never ever boring. There's a lot of work and it piles up, but it's never boring.
No, that's for sure. So how big is Blue Cross Blue Shield in New Mexico in terms of employee size?
I think we have around 1,600 employees here in
Wow.
New Mexico. We have 3 locations. The main office on Balloon Fiesta Parkway, where
Sure.
you probably see it on the driving north out of town. And then we have a couple of other locations where we have a full customer service unit, and then we have where a lot of our Centennial Care employees work that support our Medicaid business.
Wow. So you're a major employer here in New Mexico.
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah.
I would imagine so. 1,600 employees
Yeah.
and growing, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's great. So let me ask you this question. When you think about some of the obstacles that people are facing in terms of healthcare, what would you say some of the top obstacles people are facing?
Just financial, I think, is the biggest one, and access. Folks who are in rural areas that may not have the access to immediate care that they might need. So that's part of our job is putting a network together so folks maybe don't need to drive more than 50 or 60 miles to get to a physician, or it may be further for a specialist, but we are regulated by the superintendent of insurance, and we have to have certain adequacy standards satisfied. But so those are 2 of the bigger things for folks. I think just how expensive healthcare is, and trying to keep cost share low for those folks, and then just access, especially in a large rural, underpopulated state like New Mexico.
Right. So I'm going to kind of switch gears in terms of, and I know you're not in the sales and recruiting department, but there's a really great reason why people who are insurance licensed should sell Blue Cross Blue Shield. You guys have a really great platform.
I like to think so.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
We were talking earlier. I'm not sure what I can say and not say about selling.
Sure,
insurance.
no, totally understand.
It's a very regulated industry, but I'd like to think that we partner well, whether it be with individuals and families, with groups. Our purpose is to stand by our members through sickness and health, and we try to live by that every day. We are not a publicly traded company. We are customer owned. Our members own our entity, and we're kind of like State Farm, a mutual. So we're not driven by any sort of Wall Street direction or anything like that. So we really do, and I've been amazed over the last 20 years how much of decisions, or how much goes into decisions that focus on our members, on our insurance, on the community.
I didn't realize you guys were mutual.
Yes, we are mutual.
That's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
I believe that is. Like you said, you don't have to feel that you're pressured by Wall Street's demands for stock prices.
Plenty of other demands and pressures, believe me, but not driven by anything related to a publicly traded approach.
That's great. A lot of our members are business owners, right? And I think that a lot of times business owners may feel that perhaps it's hard to offer health care, or they're hesitant to offer health care because
it's very expensive.
It's very expensive, right? Do you guys offer any type of entry-level plans for business owners?
Absolutely. So again, for businesses, yes, we have small group plans. Just connect with us at Blue Cross, and we'll figure out a solution that works best for you and your employees and dependents.
That's so important. And for those folks who are watching and you're wondering, should I get health insurance for my coverage? The answer is it's worth exploring.
Absolutely.
Will you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's definitely worth exploring, because when you look at employee benefits and the retention of your employees, a lot of it is tied to benefits.
Yeah, I'm not a small business owner, so it's easy for me to sit here and say every small business owner should provide coverage.
Right.
So it's a very difficult choice. It's a very challenging time to provide something that expensive as a benefit. I'm saying it's expensive, and I'm probably turning people off to getting coverage, but compared to other benefits,
sure.
And but it is a huge benefit for your employee group, for their dependents if possible, and hopefully there's a way to work out a solution for whatever your needs are with whatever carrier you choose.
No, absolutely. And so what's interesting, as an employer myself and an agent, in terms of the insurance business, although I don't currently practice insurance in terms of sales anymore, the key is that there is always opportunity. I think every employer should at least consider it and figure out, how can I bring these benefits to my employees? What's really fascinating is that I have, in terms of leadership philosophy, is that if you take care of your people will always take care of you.
That's true.
And so I believe healthcare is a big part of that. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to go to commercial break. Before we do that, when we come back, we're going to talk about you, your family, your goals, your passions, your mission in life. And so I'm looking forward to get into that. But let's go ahead and go to commercial break.
New Mexico has long been a land of potential. We could be this, we might do that, someday. For renewable, affordable energy, someday is today. The PNM parent company is merging with Avangrid, a national leader in clean energy. We'll continue to invest in technology and energy infrastructure benefiting the state. We'll make 100% carbon-free energy by 2040 possible, while keeping bills affordable. New Mexico is more than a land of dreamers. We're doers.
All right. Well, welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are with Brian Charlton with the Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Mexico. He's the general counsel, and he's on our board. And so we're unpacking his wisdom and knowledge and learning about how Blue Cross and Blue Shield is impacting our state. But right now, what we want to do is we want to get into your story, because you're a valued board member of the chamber. And so, man, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for being a part of our board.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. And I know we're talking about the chamber a little bit later, but it's unfortunate that the pandemic hit so quickly, so soon after I became a board member. I feel a little disjointed, disconnected. We've done our best virtually with Zoom calls. You've been, I'm sure, very present here with Ernie and Shannon and others. But I'm looking forward to doing everything again in person and getting back to seeing everybody.
No, it really is. I got to tell you, the chamber had really responded to COVID very, very well under the leadership of Ernie Tabaka, and he's done a really great job. But yeah, now we're opening up where we can have our board meetings and build those relationships. So I'm excited to see you get involved and and contribute to this great organization, because the chamber is doing some great things. So you grew up right here in New Mexico. So where did you go to school?
Los Lunas High School. Started in Bosque Farms and then moved on to Los Lunas. So, yep.
Los Lunas Tigers, is that?
You got it.
The Tigers, right?
Tigers, right.
Oh, man, that's wonderful. And so New Mexico has done you well. You went to college in Colorado.
No, New Mexico State in Las Cruces.
Oh, I went down to Las Cruces.
Yep, you got it.
So you're an Aggie.
I'm an Aggie.
Oh, man, that's great. I was talking to Larry Lujan and Ernie Tabaka, and they went to, Larry Lujan went to New Mexico State.
Yeah.
And he says, what does an Aggie, what does a Lobo call an Aggie? And he says, well, I don't know. He says, yes, sir. No, sir. Whatever you want, sir.
I'll leave it to Larry to make the public jokes, but I know he's a big supporter.
He's a huge supporter
of the school itself and Aggie athletics.
So, married, kids?
Married. So my company, it owns the Blues in 5 states, including New Mexico and Illinois. So for 5 years, I was in Chicago, working out of the Chicago office. And during that time is where I met my wife.
Come on now.
And so she's now a true Westerner. We moved from Chicago to Phoenix for a couple of years, and then 5 years ago moved here. So she can't imagine moving back. Her name is Jennifer, by the way.
Oh, so Jennifer's joining New Mexico.
So that's our family. Our little dog Pancho, and Jennifer is a teacher. Right around the corner here at RFK Charter Middle School. Teaches
that's great.
6th, 7th, and 8th grade teaches social studies and history.
Man, that is awesome. One thing I love to ask everyone who comes on to the show is, you have a very demanding job, and the demands are never ending. How do you balance between family and work? What's your strategy?
Well, I don't know if there is a strategy. You just kind of take on every day, day by day, and the pandemic has shown me that it's also a struggle for teachers to have that work-life balance. We get a lot of support at Blue Cross. We have a lot of resources available to us. We could work from home. I can work from the office, whatever suited me. For teachers, and I got to see this up close and in person during the pandemic, it was much more difficult to, first of all, learn a whole different approach and learn the virtual approach. so it's my first exposure to seeing just how hard teachers work, and that to me is a much harder area to have that work-life balance. I see somebody every day who prepares every night for the lessons the next day, and then has class all day, and that's kind of the reward, and then she gets right back at it preparing for the next day. The days of having like textbooks and everything done for you are long gone.
Yeah.
She's somebody, and I think a lot of teachers are like this. You're creating your lesson plans out of scratch, and carrying them from year to year.
Sure.
But very interactive, very different, 3 different grades. So we talk a lot about how would she get and achieve work-life balance, and it's not easy. There's not a magic formula for that.
We got to give a big shout out to our teachers and our educators, because they are doing such an amazing job. I know how our children, we have 2 little girls, a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old. I see the impact on the students. I see the impact on the parents, right? Because we were basically homeschooling to some degree, but man, the teachers to keep children's attention on Zoom or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's been difficult, but also you can see what teachers do to overcome their obstacles. That you're used to being in a classroom and having that personal touch, maybe a hand on a shoulder, whatever it may be, where you're interacting with your kids on a very regular basis. It's harder through a Zoom. It's a big day just to have somebody turn on their camera, perhaps, so you can see them. So teachers, in a lot of cases, were teaching to empty screens.
Yeah,
and that was hard, I think, on them, but just sticking to it to make sure the kids got what they needed at the end of the day.
Well, man, we're certainly proud of Jennifer and all of her colleagues for all the work that they've done in our community. So what do you do for fun? What are some of your hobbies?
Well, you asked about family. My family is still here. I've got my parents are still in Bosque Farms. I have a brother here in Albuquerque and his family, and a brother in Las Cruces. So we all get together a lot on a regular basis, and that's just now we are. It was harder during the pandemic, of course. My wife and I, we tend to cook a lot. We our hobbies are watching these shows about remodeling homes and things like that. So, we just like everybody else, trying to figure out things to help get through the day.
So are you watching Chip and Joanna? Okay.
That's long gone.
That
was years ago, JP. You got to move on to other things.
Oh man, so you love HGTV then, huh?
That's on a lot in our house.
Yeah,
HGTV.
I totally get that. I totally. My wife does the same thing. She loves watching those shows, and so that's a big part of it. So, what's your favorite dish to cook?
Oh, gosh, we will make probably tostadas. Just putting a pot of beans on in the morning, and they're done by the end of the day, or just barbecuing out on the grill. Anything,
come on,
just anything that, and unfortunately, that's what we've done a lot of the last year and a half, is a lot of cooking and a lot of eating.
I discovered the art of making a mean grilled cheese sandwich.
There you go.
Oh man, that's my go-to meal. And that's about it.
Well, everybody has to have a go-to meal, and don't be bashful about it.
Yeah, when Daddy's cooking, we're having grilled cheese sandwiches. That's what we're having. And so, I'll leave that mostly to my wife. So I'm not much of a cook, but I love to grill. I can be dangerous on that grill.
Yeah.
Man, that's wonderful. So let me ask you, in terms of, leaders, a lot of the books that I read, it really shaped my leadership. What kind of books do you read or podcasts that you listen to?
As far as leadership, those of us that went to law school, we didn't go to business school.
Sure.
And learn about management. And you probably can get a double degree or just learn. So most of what I've learned is just from mentors. I've had really good opportunities to learn from people who took an interest in me or cared about me, period. And you learn from that as a leadership approach. My first law firms here, the lawyers who took the time to work with me when I went to Blue Cross, the senior lawyer at the time taking an interest in my career. And so that's one thing I wish I could do more of, or I think I probably have a gap where I should be at that stage where I should be providing more mentoring and leadership. It's just hard with the day-to-day of everything that's in front of us. Maybe that in a way is a method of leadership, showing how we can get to the end of whatever it is we're working on while still trying to appreciate everybody as a person and realizing they're more than just somebody working at our company.
Oh, that's so true. You touch a really hot topic for myself, which is mentorship, because I look back and reflect on the people in my life who made the greatest impact in my life, and they were mentors, people who took an interest in my future, my success, my failures, and it helped me figure out like how to get past them. So mentorship's huge.
Yeah, and you asked about books, and again, I wasn't exposed to that early on, but when I first got to Blue Cross, the president was Norm Becker, who's kind of like an institution in the community here, and he got us to read a lot of leadership books, and that was a whole new world to me, whether it be leadership or just business in general, and it was exciting to learn those things, but more important to see things firsthand as well.
No, that's super, super important. I like to consider myself an avid reader. I try to read every single day to some degree, and the topics really change from whether it's spiritual to leadership to business management to sales to marketing, you name it. And you know what I'm finding is I've taken this interest in finding books like were like written in the 40s and 50s. It's really fascinating because number one, they're super cheap. You can buy them for like $2 at thriftbooks.com. But what's really interesting is
that's one of our advertisers, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I just want to get that plug in there for thriftbooks.com.
Yeah, one of those things. It's really fascinating to see how leadership really hasn't changed over decades. Some of those principles remain true. And so I really enjoyed those different perspectives.
Well, it goes back to what you said earlier. You want to be working with a team and leading a team that knows that you're going to be there for them and vice versa. It's not there probably is a science to it, but it's hard to apply it as a science every day in what we do. It's more just how you treat people, how you achieve whatever the task is at hand, how you get towards a resolution, how you be collaborative, and just brainstorming with your own team and getting folks to feel they have a voice in wherever you're headed with a decision.
Oh, that is so important. When you begin to look at leadership in terms of managing people, do you oversee quite a few people?
I don't think 10 at the most during my career, and that's probably the most unique part of the position for me. You can learn the law, you can apply whatever you need to do, you can help reach resolution, whatever the task is in front of us, whatever the issue is, the problem, the dispute. Working with people directly, that's harder to do, and something I've had to learn quite a bit of over the last 20 years.
There's so many different personalities with so many different interests and so many different work ethics. It's definitely tough to manage. So let me ask you this, as an attorney, you're probably used to this, but there's a lot of folks like myself who do not like it and try to avoid it, but you have to face, and that's conflict management, right? How do you go about, so if our listeners are out here and they're dealing with bigger issues, and maybe it's internal or external in terms of conflict, is there a strategy that you use to approach conflict where it's not as overwhelming or imposing?
I've been lucky, I guess, JP, that there's not been a lot of conflict within my own team,
Sure.
something to have to address. And hopefully that's just because I know your recruiting person is here, Stephanie, and during the recruiting process is when you try to figure out what people you want, and you can see working with them, what they're going to bring. Is it going to be somebody who could end up being a conflict, causing a conflict? So you want the right fit, and you want people who care about others and respect others' opinions. So again, I've been fortunate to not have to deal with a lot of conflict within my own team. As a lawyer, that's all we do.
Right, right.
Not all we do. Where there's a lot of positive advice we give and counsel and direction where the company's going, but we also deal with a lot of disputes, a lot of issues that arise with our regulator, with you name it, litigation, provider disputes, anything like that. So we have to approach those as well. Like if we have a dispute, these are people generally we're going to have to work with again the next week and the week after that.
Right.
There's no sense in burning down that foundation. So let's see if we can get to a resolution that helps both sides.
That's so good. So we have a business owner, or perhaps a professional who's listening to this podcast right now. What I understand you said is that number one, if you're a business owner, like select the right person early on, and that'll take care of a lot of conflict internally, but also just addressing the issue in a professional manner, and don't burn the bridge because you're probably going to have to cross over that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
That's so important.
And I think kind of what I was saying earlier, just giving folks a voice. So people don't want to be told how they should feel or being dictated to as far as an approach to work. We all know that there's a job and a task ahead of us, and it could change every day. So let's just, it takes collaboration. So you want folks who appreciate teamwork, but also have that inner drive to want to succeed as well.
Oh, that's so powerful. You are dropping that wisdom on us, Brian. Come on, baby.
I think Paco just keeps accidentally hitting the applause button. But
oh, no, that's great. No, but I mean, you bring up some really valid points that each of us should consider in terms of how to deal with personalities, deal with people, because you're right. We're trying to find a resolution where everybody can win if possible. Sometimes it's not the case.
Yeah, and I want to learn this. I want to learn more about this myself. I think someday I'll retire from the law and go back and to grad school and learn about management and because it's so much to learn there that looking back, I would have probably taken more of an approach with regard to business schools and management and things like that. I think that would help no matter what you do.
No, I agree. As I lead I lead New York Life here in town. We have a fairly large market presence, and what I found is that as a leader, as a manager, you have to figure out who you are first, right? And so before I can lead others, I have to figure out who I am and what my strengths and what my weaknesses are.
And that's not easy to figure out.
It's extremely difficult.
It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It takes a lot of inward thinking and self-evaluation or thinking about yourself in a way you're not comfortable.
Yeah.
So it takes a while to get to that point.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to mess up, and figure things out. I learned so much from my mistakes. I'm like, that didn't work out. That was dumb, JP. Why did you do that? Why did you say that? I've learned that my voice determines the culture of the organization. So that's super important, because if I want a culture of excellence, of thriving, of hardworking, it's my position, it's my words, and it's my actions that empower the culture. It's really fascinating. As a leader, one of my key responsibilities, in my own personal opinion, is to empower others. How do I empower people to make decisions to further the organization? It took me a long while to figure that out, because when you're a leader, you have an outcome that you're trying to almost control, and you just can't control it sometimes.
That's right, yeah.
Right, so your principles, your values is really what shapes that.
Right, and what I try to do is give folks the freedom and flexibility to not worry about what I think necessarily. We'll try to land on the right decision or how we're going to give advice to, let's say, the president of Blue Cross. It doesn't have to come from me, though.
Right.
I agree with you to say contact that person directly. Reach out to her directly and provide that. It doesn't have. I try to remove any sense of levels or seniority. We have a small enough team within legal that they should feel comfortable talking to anybody in the company, from entry positions to the more senior folks in our organization.
Man, that's great. Let me ask you this. We're kind of switching topics a little bit in terms of your philosophy. If you were to go back and talk to your 16-year-old self, okay, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
Wow. The kind of like what I was mentioning earlier. Think, it's hard to think about that as a 16-year-old. Think about business and management and leadership. It's just as a 16-year-old, just excited to be whatever's happening next week. The future is thought of in terms of days, not years. So I think it's hard and if you don't have that exposure younger, it's hard to think in those terms. So probably something like that.
Yeah, hindsight is 20/20, isn't it? So it's always easier looking back. Those are, we look at a lot of people who are just starting their professions and their careers or their businesses, and what I have found out in life, there's so many nights that I stayed up worrying about it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Just freaking out, man. Almost having a panic attack because the goal wasn't met, or my own.
Looking back, you can't even remember what the issue was.
You can't even remember what it was. Like I lost all those sleepless nights for what?
Right. I also probably would have told my 16-year-old self to buy stock in Apple.
Come on, baby.
Amazon, and before the internet even existed. So
Yeah, man, I tell you what, that is so true. Should have bought that Apple. That would have been fun to do. Well, awesome. What we're going to do, Brian, we're going to go to commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about your involvement in the chamber and why the chamber is so important to our community.
Sounds good. Thanks, JP.
Let's go to commercial break.
New Mexico has long been a land of potential. We could be this, we might do that, someday. For renewable, affordable energy, someday is today. The PNM parent company is merging with Avangrid, a national leader in clean energy. We'll continue to invest in technology and energy infrastructure benefiting the state. We'll make 100% carbon-free energy by 2040 possible, while keeping bills affordable. New Mexico is more than a land of dreamers. We're doers.
All right. Well, welcome back to the Powered Up by PNM podcast, where we have our special guest today, Brian Charlton. Am I saying your name?
Charlton.
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 I'm Charlton. Yeah, I was thinking Charleston. Charlton.
Nope, just Charlton.
I'm so sorry.
It's
about
all right.
that.
No worries.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, man, we're so excited because you're with Blue Cross Blue Shield. You're the General Counsel of Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Mexico. And man, we're so excited that you're on the show. So you started getting involved. You've been on a board now for about a year.
Right. I think I started in November of 19 and attended a few meetings in person right here at the chamber. And then, of course, we had the shutdown, and it's all been Zoom since then. Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. Out of all the wonderful organizations here in New Mexico, you chose to be part of the Hispano Chamber of Commerce. What attracted you to our platform?
Just the need. I think just the connectivity to the community.
Sure.
We're at a bigger organization. I think our company needs to still connect with the smaller companies, smaller business owners. And again, I'm from legal, where they don't really ask legal to go out in the community and do things like that. So it was a gap for us, and I was happy to do it. One, I live kind of in the neighborhood, so it's close by. And two, just I saw the folks who were on the board, and I admire a lot of them. I know a lot of them, not a lot, but I know several members of the board, and I thought that they're all those are folks always looking out for the community, and I want to do my small part. It's not a lot, just my small part, and hopefully get Blue Cross more involved as well at that community level. And we're visible throughout the state. We have what we call the Caravan. We have a huge community involvement organization within our company, but I think there was a gap for us with the chamber, and so hopefully I can be a presence for Blue Cross with the chamber.
Well, you certainly are. And we certainly appreciate your service to this board, because it is a great board of some amazing people.
Right.
As every week that passes by, we host this podcast, and the brilliance, the wisdom, the experience that our board has is second to none. So I am honored to be a part of this board, and so.
Your contribution is unmatched, JP. I see somebody like you. To me, you're a lot younger than me, I'm not sure, but to have that drive and to get so involved with the board, and I've heard your story, you've told it before, and what the chamber meant to you, and how it's helped you, and both how you've developed as a younger business person, and so. The community is only what we put into it.
That's right.
If everybody had your passion for whatever organization it is, we'd be better for it.
Oh, man, you're so kind. Thank you so much for that. That means a lot to me, Brian.
Of course.
I do love this organization because I believe it represents hope to our community. Hope is one of my greatest drivers. Growing up, I grew up extremely poor, and there was only some days when things were really dark that the only thing you could cling on to was hope. And what I love about the chamber is that hope turns, at the chamber, it has the ability to turn your hope into reality through your connections, through the resources, through the opportunities that the chamber brings. And that's why I'm passionate about it. And also, we get to meet people like yourself with your type of experience, where you can say, okay, JP, you're an aspiring young man who has a big vision, has a big dream. And by building a relationship with someone like you, what happens, it allows me to have one more stepping stone to where we want to be. And I believe when I say me personally, I'm representing our member, our chamber member. And because I believe many members have similar stories. They're just looking for that next stepping stone to help grow their business so they can reach those dreams.
Yeah, you're right. It's an opportunity for an organization, the board, and everybody who's at the chamber and who's so passionate to make sure they're looking out for folks who don't have the time or the resources or the access to be working towards some of the programs that the chamber offers. And again, it's just that connectivity, keeping us, keeping the community connected and advised, and just being a visible force for smaller business owners that need something to lean, sometimes, not always, but need somebody to lean on, somebody to connect with for some guidance.
You know, I think when people join the chamber, especially those people who are aspiring to build something great, you know, we're faced with the thought process that it's almost impossible. It's like you're looking at the base of the sandia and you're trying to look at the peak. You're like, how in the world do I get to the top? And what I have found at the chamber is just, they're saying, hey, guy, this is a lot easier than you think. We found the path. Yeah. Just follow me.
And I, you know, you're right. And what I was saying earlier about how much we provide to members of the chamber, but vice versa. I mean, the chamber learns a lot from member organizations and folks who have ideas, and they have contributions to make, and now they just have a bigger platform to share that information, and we can just be a conduit for that sometimes.
You know, and that goes back to some of the leadership that we principles that we have on our board is trying to figure out what's a better way. How do we grow this organization? How do we bring more value? You know, one of the things that we have discussion, one of the biggest discussions we have on our board is how do we maximize value to our members? Because at the end of the day, it's our members that make us who we are, which we're a great organization, one of the largest chambers in the entire country, right here in New Mexico. So in terms of, you know, your board position and your service to the community, what would you say is one of your deepest desires to make an impact? In what particular area of the community is it?
You know, I think we're doing it. I'm gonna be lazy and say that our Be Well New Mexico connection.
Sure.
You know, I think in terms of making sure, not making sure, but seeing that we can help as many folks as we can get coverage and get access to health care. And the chamber's connection with Be Well New Mexico is huge in that regard, and helping folks find out, first of all, about coverage available on the exchange and how it can be offered at very low cost shares, perhaps, and out of pocket.
You know, for those people who may not be familiar with new Be Well NM, do you mind talking a little bit about it? What exactly is it? Who qualifies for it?
Well, everybody, in a sense, can qualify to buy coverage off of the exchange. Mm-hmm. It's something that came out of the Affordable Care Act. So what is different, though, is depending on your income, you may qualify for subsidies to help you pay for that coverage. So during the pandemic, legislation was passed at the federal level to increase those subsidies. So folks really can go and access coverage through the exchange, hopefully at a lower out-of-pocket cost, lower premium for them, and making sure they have coverage. This
is a huge opportunity for people that we serve right here in our community.
Absolutely, yeah.
Ernie was sharing with me the other day that there was a gentleman in southern New Mexico. We're doing enrollment here through the chamber for Be Well NM. And this gentleman was paying $500 a month for his health care. And he was at the point where he says, I can't afford this. I have to give it up. And it was unfortunate because he had some issues that he was facing with. He went through our Be Well NM exchange absolutely free.
Sometimes it's just making it visible to people who may not otherwise be aware of it. And I know Be Well New Mexico and the superintendent of insurance and carriers like ourselves, we try to make it as visible as we can to folks and make them aware of opportunities for that lower premium access to care.
So if you're listening and you do not have health care for whatever reason, hey, listen, contact our office here. Veronica heads the Be Well NM for the Hispano Chamber of Commerce. Reach out to our staff. We have an amazing team of Be Well NM members that can help you. But there may be some subsidies that can actually help you pay for this type of health care. So, and Blue Cross Blue Shield is one of the providers.
Right. We are one of the carriers on the exchange. So you'll see a variety of different Blue Cross products on the exchange that you might be able to choose from.
And this is a huge opportunity. In terms of when you think about the impact that the chamber is making in the community, what are some of the things that you're seeing that the chamber is doing in our community outside of healthcare?
Well, other than the cocktail hour you mentioned at the beginning of our presentation, which I think we'll have to all jot down again.
Yes, indeed.
The time and place. It's just being a place within the community for people to come together and know they have that resource. And we're also very active. I say we as if I have anything to do with it, but it's the team here at the Chamber, a very active online presence. Our website is very interactive, and always making there's different things that different members of the Chamber will want and need, and I think we offer such a broad variety of programs that we can help anybody out there with at least something, it seems.
No, you're exactly right. It's really awesome how the Chamber can impact a person who's just starting off to a company like Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Right.
Everything in between. The resources that we have at the Chamber are unparalleled to any other organization, in my opinion. Maybe that's a biased comment.
Maybe. But it's true, probably.
But it is true. And the work that we're doing in the community is powerful. One of the things that we're going through right now is something called the procurement series, where we're showing business owners on how to obtain government contracts. And so it's a 12-week program. And this program starts off with the fundamentals of government contract to the very last day. We actually create an environment where you can actually bid and compete for government contracts.
What an invaluable resource. We do that ourselves. We bid on government contracts. Legal gets involved. It's a very complex area.
Right.
A lot of law and regulation you must comply with during both the procurement process and in serving as a contractor with the government. So that resource alone opens the doors to folks who didn't otherwise feel they had an opportunity to bid on a government business because it was so daunting or can be daunting. But I think we're here at the Chamber trying to make it easier. It's something you can access, and certainly an opportunity.
Here's one of the other things I love about what the Chamber is doing. When we look at the Latino community, it's what's interesting about the Latino community. It's a very interesting dynamic because you have people who are Spanish, people who are Mexican, Cuban, right. And you look at Guatemalan, you have all types of different folks. And one thing I'm super proud about what the Chamber has done, they've reached out to our Spanish-speaking audience, and we formed a committee called La Hermandad. And so it's a brotherhood of Spanish-speaking professionals who really want to engage in the resources of the Chamber. And that was something that the Chamber really launched this year, and I'm super proud of them because we do cover the entire community.
Right. And like I said, there's something for everyone, and I like to think, and it's so broad, but it's not, the old saying, an inch deep and a mile wide. We're a mile wide, but also working towards being a mile deep.
Come
as
on.
well. That we're much more than just a show or patting ourselves on the back at the Chamber as to what we can achieve. It really is just the real results. What can we do for the members? Man,
that's exciting. So let me ask you this question in terms of, if you were to talk to one of our Chamber members who are saying, should I join the Chamber, or excuse me, a potential Chamber member, who's saying, should I join the Chamber? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that just in my brief exposure with the folks here, very passionate folks like yourself, JP and Shannon, who I see, she just is she's a force of her own. And,
no lie there.
But we don't get on the board. I don't see everybody. I met everybody early on, but I don't see everybody working. The few people I have seen, they're going to bat for you as a Chamber member every
100%.
Single day. You talk about work-life balance. I don't know how folks here at the Chamber balance work and life because it's all kind of blends together in a sense. Your work is your community, is your life to some degree, and it's a great opportunity for folks to, I keep saying connected, but you're connecting not just with the folks at the Chamber, but everybody else who's a member of the Chamber.
There's two things that I like to point out there. Number one, the Chamber is all about connections because we believe that we are one connection away to making your dreams a reality. Ernie set that president's here when he took leadership, and he really embodies those values. And here at the Chamber, we really do believe that we are a connection place where people can connect. But I got to give a big shout out to our staff because I have the privilege to work with them very closely as the chairman of the board of this organization. People like Paco, Angelique, Jamie, and Mama B is amazing. Mama B is awesome. I love Mama B. I love everybody, but Mama B has a special place in my heart. And, because it's not just an employee, they're family. And when you come to the Chamber, you feel that you're part of this family.
And probably, there are folks who come here for whatever length of time, and I think even when they leave, they're still family. There's still that connection to being a part of the Chamber.
Man, well, we're the biggest. We're big advocates for our members because we want to see them thrive and grow. If you were to give any parting advice, is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners?
Just take advantage of being in New Mexico. The one of the advantages of being here is how small it is in a sense, and it's easier to access people who can impact business, impact government. And the chamber is one way to have that connection as well. You go to a bigger state. I lived in Chicago for a while, lived in Arizona, but you don't have that easy access. Right. I say easy. It's just like it's small. It's a huge state, but
right.
we kind of know everybody. We know each other, and take advantage of that. Take advantage of those relationships and that networking.
Yeah, that's so powerful because I came from a state where. It was tough to get a hold of decision makers, which is in Texas. It was so big, so wide, so diverse, which those are pluses. But New Mexico is powerful. We're beautiful, and we're familia. And what's beautiful about New Mexico, you're right. You really are 1 degree of separation from
right.
anybody you need to talk to.
When we moved back here 5 years ago, we were at a dinner. At Blue Cross, you get invited to fundraisers and galas and stuff. And we were at a table with both Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham and Mayor Keller, who's also kind of lives in the neighborhood. And my wife, who's a social studies teacher, thought, oh my goodness, here we are. And so we got a photo so she could show her kids. Regardless of your politics, it's not every day you're sitting at a table with folks in those positions of influence and authority. And so she thought it was just amazing to have that sort of just access to folks, and she's grown to like that and love it here because of I keep saying it's small. We're just connected. You said it better, 1 degree of separation.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's super powerful, Brian. Well, I'll tell you, that's some really great advice. The fact that get connected, and because you are 1 degree of separation, man. And I just want to say thank you so much for your service to this board and service to our organization. I believe we're stronger and better because of you. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, JP, and more importantly, thanks to the staff here at the chamber and to Paco, our engineer.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just spent the past hour with Brian Charlton with New Mexico's Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Mexico. With his leadership and the leadership of the rest of our board, we are growing and we are doing great things. Why? Because we believe that we are New Mexico proud and New Mexico strong. I love the great state of New Mexico because it has endless opportunities, and those opportunities can be accessed right here at the Hispano Chamber of Commerce. Hey, for all listing of all the events that are going on, make sure you go to our website, which is ahccnm.org. And so you don't want to miss out on these opportunities because we have a place for you. I just want to let you know, if you are one of our listeners and one of our chamber members, I just want to let you know that you are greatly valued. You are cared for. We believe in your dreams, and we believe that you can do great things. We love you here at the Hispano Chamber of Commerce because we believe in you. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, my pleasure. And before I forget, hello to my mom and dad.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad.
In case those are the only 2 folks who are watching today, we appreciate them.
Hey, Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to look at our list of events. Well, we're signing off with the Powered Up by PNM podcast. We look forward to seeing you next week with Mike Kivitz. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for the Power Up by PNM podcast hour in partnership with the Hispano Chamber of Commerce. And again, a big shout out to our sponsor, the folks at PNM, who help keep your businesses energy efficient. Don't forget to join us every Tuesday at noon to hear from those in the community that are moving us forward. And for more information about the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce, call us at 842-9003 or visit us online for more information at www.ahcnm.org, and to replay this podcast, add a /chamber chat.